I'm Mia Santos from B.Ed 2A. Now, I am here to discuss my topic about the anecdotes and their examples with their practical purposes. Anecdote. The anecdote is a short story or account about a person or event that is typically amusing, informative, entertaining, or biographical in nature. Ang anekdote ito ay isang maikling kwento tungkol sa isang tao o kaya naman sa isang pangyayari na karaniwang nakakatuwa o kaya naman nagbibigay ng kaalaman o minsan ito ay talambuhay ng isang tao. Usually, ang anekdote ay nauugnay sa mga paksang tinatalakay ng mga tao upang maibahagi o ma-share nila yung mga kwento nila sa iba. Ang anekdote pwede rin itong magamit in everyday life, in literature at iba pa. We have a different example of anecdotes. First, the example of anecdotes in everyday life. Anecdotes cover a wide variety of stories and tales, especially kung maaari sila maging tungkol sa anumang paksa. Ang mga ganitong kwento ay lumalabas sa lahat ng oras. Here the example of anecdotes in everyday life. I once had a border collie. She was so smart. Every morning I opened up the front door and she ran out, picked up the newspaper, and delivered it to my husband at the breakfast table. Next, we have also an example of childhood anecdote. It's very common sa mga tao to share their story about their childhood experiences with their friends and their family member. It's also a great way to get a conversation started or keep one going. After all, everyone has childhood experiences they can share and then which other can relate. Now, here the example of childhood anecdote. Some of my favorite childhood memories revolve around that time. I spent helping my mother plant and tend the vegetable garden in our backyard. She let me help till the rows and plant the seeds. Going near okra plants made her itch, so she let me pick all of that myself. To, to this day, okra makes me think of her. We have also an example of anecdotes about interesting events. People experiences interesting things throughout their lives. Sharing anecdotes about one experiences is a fun way to interact to their friends, to their co-workers, or their family members. Here the example of anecdotes about the interesting event. One evening, I went to see a movie with my roommate and some other people from our dorm. I drove my car to the theater. Imagine our surprise when we got to the car to find the windshield covered with the slices of ham. To this day, I don't know who put the ham on my car or why. We have also an example of famous anecdotes in literature. Your favorite novels are giant stories with a complex narrative. In the midst of each story, the character may share little anecdotes with one another. It's a nice opportunity for the character to blossom and for the reader to learn more about them. Here the example of famous anecdotes in literature. Nora Robert Dartwich. Mira relays an anecdote to Lona that provides that audience with unique insight into the relationship between the book's main character. Dark Witch by Nora Roberts. I tell you, they were in love, young and wild for each other, happy in it, though they scrapped and squabbles. She was going into 17 when they came together. The mark came on him. He didn't tell her. I don't know whether to blame him for that, but he didn't tell her. And when she found out, she was angry, but more, she was devastated. We have a different purposes for telling anecdotes. Anecdotes can serve a variety of purposes. Whenever anecdotes is introduced either in the real life or fiction, it provides background or characterization information. An author might write a scene where one of the characters tells the other a bit of their backstory, usually to create depth and intrigue. In real life, anecdotes often convey meaning via stories, instead of direct explanation. The purposes for telling anecdotes is to bring cheer, to reminisce, to caution, and to persuade or inspire. The purposes for telling anecdotes is to bring cheer. Sometimes telling story just make people laugh or brightens the mood. Minsan ang pagkukwento ng isang bagay o pangyayari ay nagbibigay ng saya sa ibang tao. Next is to reminisce. In most anecdotes, people are talking about their past. They are looking back favorably on moments with their lives and sharing the joy of their time with others. Sa karamihan ng mga anekdotes, pinag-uusapan ng mga tao yung kanilang mga nakaraan. Binabalik tanaw nila yung mga sandali ng kanilang buhay at binabahagi yung mga masasayang pangyayari na naganap noong panahong iyon sa iba. Next is to caution. Sometimes just laying out the rules for individual is not effective. They need to hear frightening stories of danger that can be avoided by following regulations. Minsan ang paglalatag ng mga panuntunan para sa mga indibidwal ay hindi epektibo. Kailangan pa nilang mga karinig ng mga nakakatakot na kwento ng mga panganib na maiiwasan lamang sa pamamagitan ng pagsunod sa mga panuntunan o mga regulations. And lastly is to persuade or inspire. Sometimes people just want others to know they face similar struggles and they dare to help. They can also convey the message that with a little bit of hard work, brighten future are ahead. Here are the tips for writing the anecdotes. The anecdote isn't a full word of writing on its own. Think of it as a small story within a large story. The key to writing anecdotes is to know what you want to accomplish and think of the brief way to convey the message in a story form. First, the anecdote should be super short story that can be related to the other quickly in conversation or in writing. Second, the anecdote should be sound natural. Apply these conversational writing tips when crafting anecdotes. Third, anecdote can be used formal or informal diction, depending on the subject matter and the characterization. Fourth, keep it short and to the point. It is important to keep the audience engaged throughout the anecdotes.